Good afternoon, Saitlanders. How are you? We trust that you are very, very, very well. I have been giving this video thought since last night, and I've struggled to handle the subject of the Sona. I watched it last night and found 100 excuses to pause it and go to the kitchen to cook, to clean, In the end, I got so fed up, I took the dogs out for a walk. I watched it again this morning, and it was equally unbearable. And it was made unbearable largely by the certain knowledge that many people will have fallen for at least some of the things that the president said. The president exhibited he was last night a paragon, a perfect example of, ideal specimen of a pathological liar. Every word that he said was a lie, or was in a truth intended to serve as a lie, inasmuch as it would mislead. And he did so with a competence, that can only be a gift or demonic. The man has a talent for persuasiveness like I have never come across in my entire life. He has an ability to persuade that is the equal of a suicide hotline counselor or one of those police hostage negotiators. And it troubles me very much that many of our people will have been beguiled by him. He is a very, very wicked man. He is the archetypal. And we used this expression when we made videos about this years ago, 5, 6 years ago. The very most wolf in the very most sheep's clothing. You and I both know that they're not going to be able to fix the electricity problems. If they had wanted to, they would have done so by now. If they had really wanted to, they would have eradicated the criminal cartels by now. If they had really wanted to, they would have deployed superb resources to track down, arrest, convict, and jail for extended periods the people engaged in the phenomenal cable theft taking place across the length and breadth of South Africa. Surely we must understand this. Surely, by now, we must recognize the tree by its fruit. And surely, no matter how much anybody tells us that it is, say, a pomegranate tree, it is in fact a fig tree. surely we must see this by now. Sadly, many won't. I was reading an article a few minutes ago about something said by Ghulam Balim. For those of you who don't know, Ghulam Balim has for years been the chief economist at Standard Bank. And he said, after, the mendacity of these people, after years of corporate South Africa echoing like sycophants, the sentiments, the ambitions, the declared intentions, the aspirations of the African National Congress. He finally, yesterday, said something in bold and stark and unprevaricated and unambiguous terms that was contrary to, or he may have said it this morning. I'm assuming that the article was from yesterday. Let's just have a look. It was yesterday. That no one is coming to save South Africa from load shedding. Go for self-generation. And he said there that we individuals could generate, the individuals and businesses and what have you, generate about 1 gigawatt, which is a lot of power. And that it would talk to about one phase of load shedding. Now, if we're in phase 8, such as we have been forewarned, if we are at any given time in stage 8, and we are generating, after years and years and years of building up this capacity to generate 1 gigawatt of power, the compensation for one stage will be 12.5%. So if the entire country goes berserk on solar, we will arrest 12.5% of the problem. My point being that these people are either smoking crack cocaine or they are demon possessed. I'm sorry to use such vitriolic language, but man, this thing has to be expressed bluntly once and for all time. Besides which, the African National Congress is working in the opposite direction. As we speak, in this dorp of Van der Kloof, on the Van der Kloof Dam, on the Orange River, on the northern Cape bank of the Orange River, meters are being installed compulsorily at the behest of the African National Congress Town Council. That prevent you from putting solar into the grid, or prevent you from putting any electricity, whether generated by solar, wind, or if you have your own hydroelectric plant in your back garden. And there's no point me going into the rest of the Sona. It's all just rubbish. It's all just mendacious, intended to deceive. Ay. I see there's a report on News 24. Transnet to shrink rail network, hear this, by 7,000 kilometers. They can't do. All that they can do is not good. You have to have prepaid meters. We're going to put them in on the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th of the month. And if you don't have spare money for the power, tough luck. If you're not clairvoyant, if you weren't born, how do they say in Afrikaans? Met die helm gebore. If you don't have the gift of second sight, and you didn't know that we were coming, as nobody did, tough luck. We're putting in the meters now, and if you don't have Tom for the electricity voucher or whatever you call it, coupon, tough luck. And by the way, this meter will prevent you from ever contributing to a solution in this country. How you can be so damn stupid as to believe a single word that that man said. After his track record, I will never understand. I can understand how people were leery of what I had to say, very outspokenly, in 2018 about Cyril Ramaphosa. But after 6 years of this lot, or 5 years, how can you believe a single word? You know, one of the examples that always comes to mind is that of the greenhouses. For those of you who don't know, who never saw the video that I produced on this, the government, I think there's something like 35 or 36 districts in South Africa. Now, for those of you who don't know, when the ANC assumed power, one of the things that they did was to consolidate municipalities into larger municipalities in order to consolidate power and to be to give disadvantaged communities the advantages of the white municipalities. And also to consolidate knowledge, skills, experience, ability. It didn't work. So they implemented a municipal, I used to know these names out of my head, a structure to manage the municipalities of South Africa. That was a failure. So they implemented another structure to supervise the management of the consolidated municipalities of South Africa. That didn't work. So they placed emphasis on districts. And of course, that hasn't worked. So we now have more layers of governance or supervision of governance than probably any other country in the whole world. And there's something like, my throat's a bit itchy, I must. There's something like 35 or 36 of these districts. And one of the genius plans of the past 10 years or so was to, the African farmer was to erect giant tunnels. Those greenhouse type tunnels? But enormous ones. In every district, but the number of tunnels was one more than the number of districts. So somewhere in South Africa, some or other district got 2. Presumably Johannesburg, Pretoria, something like that. And the total cost was 2,000 million rand. 2,000 million rand. Let's just work it out. Let's just do districts here. Number of districts in South Africa. Okay. I was out by a bit. Where's on here? Why can't I read? There we go. There are 278 municipalities in South Africa, comprising 8 metropolitan, 44 district, and 226 local municipalities. Then, that's a bit confusing, I suppose. Well, it's bewildering to me. And here's a very simple way of understanding it. The 9 provinces are divided into 52 districts. So, if I'm not mistaken, there were 53 of those tunnels built. 2,000, 1,000, 1,000 randellas were spent. Divided by 52 equals heavens above. Each of those tunnels cost, on average, 38 million. If you've ever seen one of them, then you're giggling just like I'm giggling. 38,461,000, etc., etc. So, in simple terms, 38.5 million. There's one on the way to De Aar from here. If you go south from Van der Kloof, you get to eventually get to Phillipstown, turn right on that road. Just before you get to De Aar, there's one on the right-hand side. That thing cost 38.5 million rand. That and probably some skills development and potting soil and fertilizer and empty yogurt buckies for the seedlings and dowel rods to keep the tomatoes upright, the tomato plants upright. They probably paid guys to work there, as part of the empowerment thing. But those projects, as pathetic as they are, if you see them in person, cost 38.5 million, and they together have never produced one lettuce leaf. There's a famous Marula Media article on it. You can look it up. Not one lettuce leaf. The African National Congress cannot do. They cannot do at all. They cannot produce one lettuce leaf, even if they invest 2,000 million rand in that one lettuce leaf. Therefore, I tell you, last night's Sona was rubbish, nonsense, lies from beginning to end. All of the claims that he made about the tremendous success were claims intended to mislead, because those claims are to some extent true. But if you scratch the surface, you begin to understand that they're bull dust stories. And all of the claims about what they're going to do by appointing a minister of electricity, and then a minister of electrons, and then a minister of protons, and then a minister of turbines, and then a minister of boilers, and then a minister of coal trucks, shall not work to improve anything. And as he said last night, Kusile is how old? It hasn't been completed yet. Kusile has not been completed yet. The last unit is not complete yet. And yet the chimney is falling down. It's the house is not yet built, and it's falling down. The African National Congress cannot do. Every word was a lie. And now you have people like Standard Bank saying, we should be part of the solution, not the problem, because nobody's coming to save us. However, if everybody puts in solar, then we'll be able to feed it into the thing and we'll save 12.5% of the problem. We'll only be on stage 7. But the African National Congress is installing meters across the country, as they've done or attempted to do in Brandfort and many other places, that prevent you from doing that, Gulam. Gulam! Wake up, Gulam! The whole of Sona was all bull dust. Even the good parts that he expressed so well that you believed him. Thank you for watching this video. Please, we are going into dark times. I am privy to things that I cannot share because that is the nature of the thing. Believe me when I tell you that this year, 2023, is going to be a trial. It is going to be a trial. The African National Congress and the forces of darkness that have descended over the world, the 4 horses of the apocalypse that are now galloping across the face of the earth, are going to make this year a trying year. Therefore, Saitlander's work is more important than ever before. Please, like, share, subscribe, and visit the page saitlanders.org, the website saitlanders.org. Go into the home page there, scroll to the bottom, and donate if you can. We need the help, we need the support, we need the money. We need to do this work, because nobody else in South Africa will make the video that I've just made. Not one. Please, and God bless you.